I read through some of the documents that you had sent on how Climatize works, and it seems, and correct me if I'm wrong, that your hypothesis is one of the biggest barriers to us succeeding this energy transition or accelerating the process of it is capital allocation, essentially. And if we're able to allocate more capital to these projects, then we will be able to keep ourselves below 2 degrees or 1.5 degree rise. Like, am I characterizing that correctly?
Yes, definitely. And so
Okay.
the problem now is climate change is really a capital allocation problem in the sense that we have the technologies that are necessary to avert climate change. There are some sectors like aviation that we don't have the technology, and that will come, but that will be at the end of the transition. If we talk about low-hanging fruit in which we can actually start taking really meaningful bites out of the global carbon budget, the first step is decarbonizing the electricity system. Because what that does is it allows you to then go and decarbonize transportation as well as much of manufacturing and industry. And then you can look at how do we heat our homes, which is another really large sector of total emissions. And each one of those buckets can be decarbonized through clean electricity. And there are other major verticals like agriculture, for example, and the embedded carbon that goes into the food that you eat. And then, very hard industrials such as steel, cement, and aviation in particular are going to be the last to transfer. But the first low-hanging fruit that we can get is by decarbonizing the electricity system. And that comes through renewable energy, primarily solar, wind, and storage. Also, nuclear is a very important energy resource within that mix, just given the fact that it's very sustainable or very stable baseload power that is maybe not doesn't have the same characteristics of wind and solar, which are variable based on when the wind is blowing and the sun is shining. As we have, greater deployment of storage assets as well, that will provide a very meaningful balance to wind and solar so that you have them, when it's dark out or when it's not blowing wind. And so those basic technologies we have today. It's an aspect of like how fast are we going to allocate capital to deploying those projects so that we can begin to really take that low hanging fruit out of the equation.